Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. Everybody ain't supposed to go with you where you going. See, too many people try to drag folks along for the ride who ain't meant to be in the car. You trying to take people on your journey who didn't pack a bag, didn't put gas in the tank, and sure as hell ain't got the vision you got. Everybody can't go where you're going as a hard truth, but it's one you gotta swallow if you're serious about leveling up in life. See, when you're on a journey to become something greater, when you're chasing purpose, peace, and progress, not everybody around you is built for that path. You can love people and still understand that they're not equipped to travel the road you're on. Some folks are only in your life for a season, and trying to make a seasonal person a permanent fixture will delay your destiny. Now, here's the real kicker. Some of the people who can't go with you, they got your last name, they grew up with you, you laughed with them, cried with them, shared dreams with them. But somewhere along the way, you started changing. You started wanting more. You started looking at life differently. And not everybody clapped when you started climbing. Some folks preferred the old you, the one who stays stuck, who stays scared, who stays silent. The moment you started stretching, they got uncomfortable, and instead of supporting you, they started subtly pulling back, throwing shade, questioning your moves. But don't let that stop you. Don't dim your light just so others won't feel blinded. When you feel called to something bigger, you've got to answer. Growth requires separation. It doesn't mean you're better than anyone. It just means you're going somewhere that demands a different version of you. And that version might not vibe with who you used to roll with. And that's the mistake too many people make is trying to carry everyone with them out of loyalty. But let me tell you something. Loyalty to the wrong people will cost you your calling. You'll end up dragging dead weight, slowing your pace, and losing momentum. Some people are only loyal to your comfort zone, not your growth zone. They're only loyal to your brokenness, not your breakthrough. And when you try to take those people with you, they won't help you rise. They'll hold you back, intentionally or not. You got to get real clear. If they can't match your energy, your focus, your mindset, then they can't walk with you in this next chapter. You need people who sharpen you, not people who dull you. People who push you, not people who pacify your excuses. And sometimes to find those people, you have to let go of the ones you've been trying to save. It ain't easy. Letting go never is. You'll question yourself. You'll wonder if you're being cold, if you're being selfish. But the truth is you're being faithful to the future you, to the vision placed inside you. You're protecting your peace, your purpose, your promise. Because at the end of the day, it's your life to live. And if you're going to do it right, you have to be willing to travel light. Stop apologizing for your growth. That's it. Stop saying sorry every time you level up. Stop feeling guilty because you want more, do more, become more. See, people get real uncomfortable when you start changing because your growth exposes their comfort. The moment you start evolving, it holds up a mirror. And some folks don't like what they see, but that ain't your problem. That's their own reflection, not your responsibility. You weren't put on this earth to stay the same. Life is about progress, not perfection. It's about stretching, learning, becoming. You're not who you used to be, and that's the whole point. The version of you that used to settle, that used to stay quiet, that used to doubt, that version is gone. And some people miss that version because it was easy for them. But just because they miss who you used to be doesn't mean you owe it to them to stay stuck. There's this pressure, especially when you come from humble beginnings, to stay relatable, to not act brand new. to not outgrow your circle, but that pressure is poison. It'll keep you in jobs you've outgrown, relationships that drain you, environments that shrink you. You start apologizing for making healthy choices, for having boundaries, for not entertaining drama, for moving in silence. You'll catch yourself explaining why you don't party like you used to, why you ain't available like you were, why you value your peace now more than ever. Let me tell you something. Growth ain't rude, it's necessary. Evolving isn't arrogance, it's alignment. You can love people and still refuse to lower yourself to fit the version of you they're comfortable with. Don't let anyone guilt you into staying the same. Don't let small minds label your transformation as betrayal. Your journey is personal. Your growth is sacred. And you don't need a permission slip to better yourself. Sometimes people will try to twist your progress into pride. They'll say you've changed like that's a bad thing. But what they're really saying is you've grown past where I can reach you. And instead of doing their own work, it's easier to criticize you for doing yours. That's why you can't seek validation in places you've outgrown. That's why you can't keep watering dead plants hoping they'll bloom just because you care. You were made for more, and you know it. You feel it every time you get still. That nudge in your spirit, that's growth calling. That's purpose tugging on you. That's destiny refusing to let you stay comfortable. And when you answer that call, when you walk through doors you prayed for, you do it with your head high, not with an apology on your lips. Growth is beautiful. Growth is hard. Growth is holy. And you don't need to apologize for stepping into the fullness of who you're becoming. Your presence is a gift. Act like it. Too many people walk around like they're just an option, like they're just filling space, like what they bring to the table ain't worth much. That's a lie. You are the table. The energy you carry, the wisdom you've earned, the heart you lead with, that's rare. And when you start seeing yourself that way, everything changes. You stop begging for seats. You stop explaining your worth. You stop accepting crumbs when you bring the whole meal. See, people will treat you based on how you treat yourself. If you act like your time ain't valuable, they'll waste it. If you act like your voice doesn't matter, they won't listen. If you keep showing up for people who never show up for you, they'll come to expect that as normal. That's why you got to teach people how to treat you, not with words, but with your standards, your boundaries, your behavior. A lot of us were taught to stay humble, to be nice, to not make too much noise. But there's a difference between being humble and being invisible. There's a difference between being kind and being walked over. You can walk in love and still walk in confidence. You can serve others and still respect yourself. Don't confuse humility with self-erasure. Don't confuse loyalty with self-sacrifice. When you understand your value, you stop handing yourself out to people who ain't qualified to carry you. You gotta remember your energy shifts rooms. Your smile changes moods. Your ideas open doors. Your love heals wounds. That's not ego, that's impact. That's presence. Some people only realize how much you brought to the table after you stop showing up, but you don't need to leave to prove your worth. You just need to know it for yourself. Every time you walk into a room, you bring something with you. Peace, strength, joy, vision. That ain't by accident. That's divine. But when you forget that, you start shrinking. You start second guessing. You start overgiving, over-explaining, overextending. And after a while, you end up drained, resentful, and wondering why nobody appreciates you. It's because you gave the gift of your presence without recognizing its value. There comes a point where you have to stop making yourself available to what drains you. You have to stop letting people access you just because they used to. Stop showing up out of habit. Start showing up with intention. You don't owe your presence to everyone. Not everyone deserves to be in your space. Protect it like the treasure it is. Walk like you know who you are. Talk like you know what you carry. Move like someone who brings something to the room no one else does. Because you do. Your presence matters. Your presence inspires. Your presence changes things. So carry it with honor. Let silence teach them your value. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all. When people start to take you for granted, when they stop appreciating your effort, your kindness, your presence, go quiet. Not out of pettiness, but out of peace. Not to punish, but to protect. See, silence has a way of revealing what noise hides. When you stop filling in all the gaps, when you stop doing all the reaching, the calling, the fixing, people start to notice just how much you held everything together. You don't always have to explain yourself. You don't always have to prove your point. There's strength in restraint. There's power in stillness. And there's something about your absence that makes people reflect on your presence. Because when you go quiet, they begin to hear the echo of everything you used to say, used to do, used to give. They remember the check-ins, the support, the loyalty. They feel the space you once filled, and that space speaks louder than any words you can ever say. Some people can only see your value when you stop giving it to them on demand. You've been showing up so consistently that they started treating your presence like background noise. Familiarity breeds comfort, but comfort can breed complacency. That's why stepping back isn't selfish, it's self-preservation. When you pull your energy back, when you stop pouring where there's no refill, people get a clear look at what life is like without your light. And that science, that's where the lesson lives. You got to stop chasing people who never look for you. Stop reminding people of your worth when they keep forgetting it. You've already shown them who you are. You've already proven your loyalty, your love, your character. Let your absence speak for itself. Let them miss the laughter, the encouragement, the reliability. Let them sit with the void your silence creates. Because in that space, they'll either realize what they lost or they won't. And either way, you'll get your answer. Silence separates the real from the convenient. The ones who reach back when you stop reaching out, those are your people. The ones who notice the shift and check in, those are the ones who see you. But the ones who fall silent with you, the ones who never look up when you stop speaking, believe them. They saw your worth as optional. They treated your effort as expected. And now they're learning through silence that not everything is guaranteed. You don't have to make a grand announcement. You don't need to defend your decision to pull back. Just do it quietly, peacefully, powerfully. Let your stillness speak what your words no longer need to. You've done enough explaining. You've done enough fixing. Let the silence teach them what your presence used to give. Let the quiet speak on your behalf. Don't shrink to make others comfortable. You weren't created to play small, to hide your brilliance, or to dim your light so others don't feel insecure. But a lot of people do just that. They start walking softer, talking quieter, second-guessing themselves, not because they lack power, but because the people around them can't handle it, and somewhere along the line, they were taught that being too bold, too confident, too much would push people away. But here's the truth. Anyone who's uncomfortable with your shine was never meant to walk in your light. You've got gifts, talents, dreams that were planted in you for a reason. When you downplay those things to make others feel better, you're not being humble, you're being dishonest. You're not being kind, you're being small. And every time you do that, a little piece of you starts to fade. You begin to forget how powerful you really are. You start settling for less, accepting roles that don't fit you, staying in spaces where you can't fully breathe. That's not peace. That's suffocation disguised as loyalty. People who love you, who see you, will never ask you to shrink. They'll never need you to hide your gifts to make them feel worthy. Real ones will celebrate your wins, clap for your growth, and challenge you to go even further. But the wrong ones, they'll throw shade when you shine too bright. They'll joke about your ambition. They'll call your confidence arrogance. That's not love. That's insecurity wearing a friendly face. You can't keep quiet just because your voice makes someone else uncomfortable. You can't keep holding back just because your success reminds someone of their own stagnation. That's not your weight to carry. You are not responsible for how others react to your potential. What you are responsible for is honoring the calling on your life. And that means walking in rooms like you belong there, speaking like your words carry weight, living like you believe in your own worth. There's no medal for playing small. There's no trophy for being the most agreeable version of yourself. And the longer you try to be who they want, the further you drift from who you're supposed to be. You weren't meant to fit in. You were meant to stand out, to lead, to break cycles, to build something new. That requires boldness. That requires courage. And that sure as hell requires refusing to shrink when the room gets uncomfortable. Growth is loud, purpose is bright. Your life is supposed to make some people uncomfortable. That's how you know you're moving. That's how you know you're rising. So when you feel the pressure to tone it down, to be more palatable, to play the background when you were made for the front, pause and remember who you are. You didn't come this far to water yourself down. You didn't do all that healing just to become small again. The right people will value the real you, not the filtered version, not the watered down version, not the version you put on to make other people happy. The real you, the one with flaws, with fire, with faith, with failures and all. See, too many people spend their lives performing, constantly shape-shifting just to be accepted, smiling when they want to scream, agreeing when they disagree, hiding pieces of themselves because they've been taught that who they truly are is too much or not enough. But you can only keep that up for so long before it starts to wear you down. When you walk in your truth, when you live from a place of authenticity, something powerful happens. You stop attracting people who like the act, and you start attracting people who love the essence. People who don't just tolerate your presence, but celebrate it. People who don't flinch when you get real, who don't run when you get vulnerable. That's how you know you found the right ones. They don't require a performance. You don't have to prove yourself. You don't have to shrink. You just get to be. The real ones will see your worth even in your mess. They'll respect your journey even when you're still figuring it out. They'll clap for your wins and stand with you in your losses. That kind of connection doesn't come from pretending. It comes from honesty. It comes from showing up fully, even when it's scary. And yeah, that means not everyone's going to stay. Some people will walk away when you stop being who they wanted you to be. Because if your presence is based on performance, your peace will always be at risk. The minute you stop acting, the minute you speak your truth, it all falls apart. That's not love. That's manipulation dressed up as acceptance. And the longer you stay in spaces where you can't be real, the more you betray yourself. You deserve relationships where you can exhale, where you can laugh loud, cry freely, speak boldly, and still be held. That's the gift of being known and still being loved. You were never meant to be for everybody. Not everyone will get you. Not everyone will appreciate you, but that's not your burden. That's your filter. Every time someone walks away because you chose to be real, it clears space for someone who was meant to show up. And when those people arrive, you'll know, because they won't try to change you. They won't flinch at your truth. They'll match your energy, your heart, your honesty. So stop wasting energy trying to convince the wrong people of your worth. You are not hard to love. You are not asking for too much. You've just been offering yourself to those who only wanted pieces, not the whole. But the ones who are meant for you, they'll see the real you and still choose to stay every single time. This season is VIP only. Protect your access. You're entering a stage of your life where not everyone can come along for the ride. You've been too open, too available, too accessible to people who didn't respect your time, your energy, or your spirit. And now it's time to tighten the circle, not out of pride, but out of purpose, not out of ego, but out of clarity. When you know what you carry, when you understand the value of your peace and your presence, you don't just let anybody have access to it. There was a time when you gave out all access passes to everyone, friends, family, co-workers, even strangers. You gave people backstage access to your heart, your plans, your energy, and they didn't earn it. Some of them took it for granted. Some of them abused it. Some of them just stood too close without contributing anything real. That's over. Because this next chapter you're walking into, it requires focus. It requires discernment. It requires you to stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Everyone doesn't deserve a seat at your table. Everyone doesn't get to walk with you just because they were around when you were struggling. Loyalty doesn't mean carrying dead weight. You're not obligated to keep old ties just because of history. The history was a lesson. The future is a calling. And this time around, your space is reserved for the ones who get it, the ones who respect your boundaries, who cheer for your growth, who match your energy. You have to stop feeling guilty for protecting your peace. That's not being selfish. That's being wise. When you leave your door wide open, don't be surprised when chaos walks in. You need standards. You need filters. You need to know that just because someone wants access doesn't mean they deserve it. You're not for everyone, and everyone isn't for you. That's not bitterness. That's maturity. That's clarity. That's growth. You start looking at your time, your energy, your heart like a luxury suite. Not everyone gets a key. Not everyone gets the inside view. Some people are balcony only. Some are parking lot level. And some don't belong near the building at all. That doesn't mean you don't love them. It just means you love yourself enough to stop sacrificing your mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being for the sake of keeping everyone around. From now on, protect your energy like it's gold, because it is. Be intentional about who you share your wins with, who you invite into your sacred space, who you let speak into your life. You've worked too hard, grown too much, healed too far to let just anyone walk through the doors you've bled to open. If they don't bring peace, purpose, or positivity, they don't belong past the threshold. Set the standard, hold the line. This season isn't for crowds, it's for connection, for alignment, for elevation. Only the real ones get in.